Yo, what's up? And welcome to episode 16 of Throwback Hoops. My name is Rob Clayton, and joining me as he does every week is Woody V. Woody, my main man, how's it going?
Hey, man, it's good to have some NBL back on. So, yeah, pretty happy, man. A lot to chop up and a very special episode today, homie. So, looking forward to it.
It certainly is. So, look, just before we get into it, just a reminder just to check out our YouTube show. Please make sure you subscribe when you're on there. And, of course, if you're listening to the podcast via audio, it's available, sort of on all the podcast channels anyway. So, all right. So, look, today we've got a show that Woody and I are extremely excited to be doing. It's probably a bit of an understatement. So look, it's with great pleasure that I introduce our guest this week. Woody, you might need to put your feet up. I might go for a little bit here, but all right. So this man played 21 seasons with his beloved Melbourne Tigers from 1984 to 2005, in which he won 7 MVPs, was a 15-time NBL All-First Team player, 14-time scoring champ, and of course a 2-time champ, winning titles in 93 and 97. He played with Seton Hall University in 1989, helping lead the team to the title game in the NCAA championships. He had stints overseas, most notably with the Washington Bullets in 94, and then with the Spurs in 99, where he earned an NBA championship ring. And look, probably more importantly, he played in 5 Olympics for Australia from 1984 to 2000. And as we all remember, he was the Olympic flag bearer for Australia in 2000. I would like to give a very warm welcome to Australia's best ever basketballer, Andrew Gaze.
Very, very nice welcome. Love hearing that when you read it out there, Rob. So appreciate the kind words. And
it's great to have you. Hopefully I didn't miss anything out there, mate. But yeah, let us know.
Well, I'm quite fond.
Probably a couple of things, right?
I'm quite fond of the fact that I finished 4th in Australia's #1 dance competition, Dancing with the Stars.
Nice.
Hey, you forgot that, Rob. You forgot that, man.
Yeah.
We don't need to go into that because I share that story quite often. But but no, I do appreciate it and looking forward to a chat.
Very good. No, much appreciated, Andrew. So, look, I guess, Woody, as we sort of do each week, we'll just sort of showcase our jerseys. Why don't you take us away and show us who you're wearing this week?
Yeah, sure. So, firstly, I had to rep my Sydney Kings. So, I got the
nice
Damian Keogh
3-0
Sydney Kings signed hat
nice.
From the 90s.
Wow,
and
that's
with,
nice.
With Drewy coming on the show, I had to represent. So,
yes,
I got a classic.
Number 2, was that Evie Ara, of course.
Nice.
Yes.
Were you standing up showing the old school Ebby Ara jersey?
Very nice.
Now, a few weeks ago, we wore the Copeland and Gaze jersey, so we didn't know you were coming on the show, Andrew. So
no, that's nice. That's nice. That I didn't. Well, I played in a similar jersey to that, but that was Evie Ara was post my retirement.
Yeah, he was.
I didn't get to sport that one, but the one over your left shoulder there, Rob, that's the one that has the most memories to me.
It's brings back that one, isn't it?
Yeah, that was a beauty. That was 93 championship we won it in that jersey.
And I'm a Perth fan as well, so I haven't forgotten that. But yeah,
wow,
yeah,
no, that's great. No, they were great times, and that jersey with the Kmart brings back a lot of fond memories.
No,
well, just a little bit about Ebby Ere. Actually, that's the way you pronounce it.
Is that how you say it?
Yeah, if you remember a press conference with Joey Wright and Ebby, he alluded at the press conference. That's how it's been pronounced. He's of Nigerian descent. He's represented the Nigerian national team, although he did grow up in the States.
In London. He actually played for the Nigerian national team because I remember commentating, and he was part of that team. So, yeah, I do remember it. I don't think he's one of these guys that gets upset if you don't pronounce it.
No, not at all.
Exactly how it's supposed to be.
Not at all. And he was one of the most exciting players to come to our shores. And people around the league at the moment, Drew and Robbie, are talking about some of the greatest dunks ever in NBL history, right?
Yeah.
And I'll tell you about one dunk live that I saw at the Sydney Entertainment Center. I think circa 2007 and 8 when he was at that with the Bullets. And I think it was Craig Bradshaw. Someone put up a 3 that just jumped off the back of the rim, and Eddie came running in from the free throw line and did the tip slam. That was awesome. So, I mean, that was probably one of the best live dunks I've seen.
He had a few of them, though. Eddie was a he could shoot it, and that's what he probably became more renowned for, is particularly with the Sydney Kings.
Oh, yeah.
Famous against the West Sydney Razorbacks. And
I remember.
They'd probably be championship short if it wasn't for that made basket that Evie made with, it was in probably the last minute or so. It was in transition too. He's pulling up, and they'd made a massive run. So Evie was renowned for his perimeter shooting, but he could rise. He has a lot of bounce, and there's many people that he's posterized. So he was a beauty, one of the greats. And as mentioned, you've come up with some, like even mentioning Craig Bradshaw. Now, he was only a very brief period in the NBL, but he played well in Europe and New Zealand, I think. And he had a very, very good college career as well.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, there was talk of him going to the NBA, and yeah.
The vast majority of people watching us, I doubt very much that they remember Evie or Craig Bradshaw, but good on you for
the stuff we love, Andrew.
Going into the archives.
Being a Kings fan, 2003, I remember it. That was his second championship in a row, and then he came back a few years later and made it 2 in 2 years, and he played on what many people consider one of the greatest teams in NBL history, which had Black and Bradshaw and Dylan Boucher, Sam McKinnon, CJ Bruton, who he teamed up with again after Sydney coming to Brisbane. And then when he played for your Tigers, he was actually going to play for the South Dragons that year. And I think he went and tried to get into the NBA, and Tremel Darden was picked up, I think, from memory. And the finals was between, Melbourne and Southeast Melbourne. And Darden went off, and it was a 3-2 result, I think. Yes. So
it was. And he was a great player. And his time with Melbourne is probably not what he's most famous for.
For sure. Yeah.
Sydney and Brisbane, but he was still a high quality player and so versatile, like I said, because he could shoot the ball. And when you think of the game now compared to back then, his game's probably more suited to the way the game's played right now than it was back then. But no, he was a beauty.
Yeah, and I think at 35, late in his career, he got to reunite with Joey Wright at Adelaide as a veteran there.
He did.
And then
that wouldn't be probably one of the most memorable. When he thinks back on his NBL career, I don't think he's.
No, I agree.
He's remembering the first go around with Joey.
Yep,
but not that one.
I hear you. And what's he doing now? I mean, he retired a few years ago.
I really don't know. Yeah. No, I really don't know.
Yeah,
I'm not
couldn't find much myself, so I thought maybe you might have an idea.
No, I don't know.
Absolute legend. Had a great career.
No, good stuff, Woods. I know you're always a fan of Ebby there. So, all right. So, look, I'll sort of take it away. So what I do, Andrew, is I basically hang up a jersey each week and I wear one. I've got a pretty insane collection, so it's a good way to kind of show them off. So, look, as we said, the great number 10 behind me, I think I wore that in an early episode. So nice. I talked all your praises that time again. But anyway, that's the old school one there. But one I'm wearing today, it's actually an ex-teammate of yours from the Spurs. So I'll just quickly stand up and show you that one, and then sort of talk a little bit about this guy.
Okay, sure. This is it's Sean Elliot.
Yeah, for all the
mighty Sean Elliot
listeners who can't see, Robbie's wearing the Spurs 90s Sean Elliot, Drew's teammate.
Yeah,
Sean Elliot. What do you remember about him?
Well, the big shot in '99
on that baseline
at home. Well, it was on the sideline, and he it was one that it was first and foremost. It was fantastic officiating because it looked like he was out of bounds.
Yeah.
I was on the bench most of the time. And from where I was there, you looked out and you go, crikey, it looked like he's out of bounds. But it was fantastic officiating because his toes were in bounds and his heels were actually over the line, but not on the line. Up. And he was able to knock down that 3 ball. Now, we ended up winning that series pretty easily, relatively easy, I should say. But at the time, that was one that potentially all of a sudden they win that game. It changes the complexion of the whole series. So there was a huge, huge shot. And it was at the Alamo Dome. And they don't play there anymore.
No.
But 40,000+. And the joint, how loud it became and hitting that shot. But he was a great guy, a great teammate. Very generous, unselfish guy, and at both ends of the floor, super athlete. He was when he was in Detroit. Now I'm going back in the memory, so if I've got this wrong, I'm sure your listeners will pick me up. But I'm pretty sure he was an NBA All-Star when he was at Detroit. So he's fantastic career at Arizona. Played alongside Steve Kerr, I believe.
Definitely,
and spent some also played in the US. I think he played in the USA Olympic team as well.
So I think he might be right.
Actually, not an Olympic team, a World Cup team.
Yeah. Okay.
So he was a superstar, and loved him dearly. He's a great man.
So I guess just a little bit, look, some great info from Gazy there, but just I guess a little bit about Sean Elliott. So 12 seasons in the NBA. He was picked 3 in the '89 draft out of Arizona, as Andrew said. He played 11 of those 12 seasons with the Spurs, except for 1 year when he was in Detroit, when he was traded for Dennis Rodman of all people. So he basically went there. Let's just say it probably didn't work out for both players there. The Spurs got him back a year later. So that year he actually went to Detroit in '94 was actually when he found out that he had a kidney problem, which would obviously eventually lead him to have a kidney transplant in 1999, which he received from his brother Noel there. So as we said,
it was a very short period of time after winning the championship. He had to go through that, and it was it's life threatening.
He was I think he was the first pro athlete, wasn't he, to sort of have that surgery there and sort of be able to continue to play, I guess. But
it took some time, but they did, and I don't think he was the same after that, but super athlete, great athlete, and even better guy. He was a great guy.
It's great to hear that as well. And look, obviously his number 32 is retired by the Spurs and Arizona there. So a bit of a throwback. I said to Woody earlier, I do have his Detroit jersey as well, but I certainly wasn't going to be wearing that.
93 All-Star with Detroit. Andrew's right. So
it's a good effort, isn't it? All right. So I guess just before we continue, you might have sort of seen, I guess if I sort of do that, you might see one of your old shoes up there, Drew. So, so I wanted to ask you a question about this little sort of piece of memorabilia I've got. Woody's just going to put it up on the screen now so you can get a bit of a look at it. So,
very nice.
Look, I bought that about 16 years ago, and it's definitely taken pride of place in my house. Get a lot of obviously positive comments from people seeing it. Do you know the main comment I get on that, Andrew?
What a terrific shoe that is.
Apart from that, they ask, where's the other shoe? Everyone asks me that.
Right.
So, I don't know if you remember around that time when that would have taken place or where the other shoe is maybe. But what do you remember about that?
That I only know because of the shoe. So the shoe, that would have been, I want to say 2005, around about 2005. Yep. And that was probably the second version of the shoe when I started to do my own shoe. And 2004 was the first year, and I think that one was a 2005 model. And I used to wear the shoes, and it was the latter stages. I really probably shouldn't have been playing with the Melbourne Tigers back then. It was right at the tail end of my career, and after every game, I just wear the shoes once, and then give them away, sign them, just as part of promotion, and just knew it was my last year. So a lot of people back then, it was a real treat for them to get a signed pair of shoes. So I donate a lot of charities, all that type of stuff. So that was about 2005, and of course the photo is from the 2000 Sydney Olympic Games.
I'm just glad you didn't say it was a fake or anything. So I'm pleased about that now.
No, that is, and here I can actually say this: that was a model of shoe that we sold, but nowhere near as many as some of the others. So it's actually a model that I dare say I would have actually worn that in at least one game.
Cool.
That pair of shoes.
Nice.
And unless you'd bought them and given them to me. But all the ones, this piece might have been done by some charity. I don't know where you got it from.
I think I got it off eBay in about, I think it was 2005 or 2006. It might have been off eBay there. Someone in Melbourne as well. So Well,
you know what? Maybe I actually was after a game and I signed that shoe, and some using their entrepreneurial skills put that together and made a quid out of it.
I think so. I tell you what, it was too heavy for them to post too. So I had to wait for my parents were down there one year for the Grand Prix. Right. They drove there, put it in the boot, and drove it home for me. So it's had a pretty interesting sort of story, that piece.
Well, it's funny you mentioned those shoes, and from about I did the shoes from 2004 to about 2009, and then it tapered off, and it started at the tail end of the year. From about 2000, after the Sydney Olympics, every year, at least once or twice a year, we, the Melbourne Tigers, we were doing these trips to China. And we were going to play against club teams. We played against their national team. We were becoming regular opponents for the Chinese club teams or even the national team on certain occasions. And when we'd go there, at various cities, they'd host us and they'd take us to certain areas which the region was renowned for. And this one was in it was in the Xiamen area, around in Xiamen, and the Fujian province, it was called, I think it was Fujian province, something like that. And that's where the vast majority of shoes are come out of China. And one of these teams we were playing, one of the sponsors was one of these shoe factories. And we went and actually did a tour of the shoe factory. And I was seeing how shoes are made and this whole process. I was enthralled by it all. And I was asking all these questions and getting the interpreter to ask all these questions and learning about shoes. And in it, I got an appreciation for the technology of the shoe, but also the cost of the shoe. And it was on one of those tours that the idea came to me. And it was a time when, remember those back when Michael Jordan, the people were stealing, people bashing people up and stealing just for their shoes, and shoes were $200 and $300 or $200, whatever it may be. And it was I genuinely started it thinking, well, here's an opportunity to use my brand and anyone that's interested in me to provide an affordable option for shoes. And that, hand on heart, not a marketing pitch, not a sales pitch. That was 100% the reason behind it. And across those 4 or 5 years, from 2004 to 2009, we sold over 500,000 pairs of shoes.
Wow, great effort.
Very low margin, and I wasn't making any. I was basically, I wasn't doing it for nothing, but I was not getting. So people think, oh, you've made a buttload of money out of shoes. It wasn't, because I was in it just for the fun and the joy of seeing your shoes in a department store and hopefully selling some shoes and for the kids that probably couldn't afford to pay that type of money. So ironically, as we speak, the last 12 months we've been doing the same, and we're now in Big W stores with our latest range, and it's going really well. So
we actually noticed that today, and we also saw a little T-shirt, the Elliot T-shirt you've got for you and Copes there, which Woody said he's going to buy today as well.
I'm going to buy that. Yeah,
well, here's the thing. We did it because a mate of mine did that design. And I was with Copes. I play golf with Copes twice a week. So, and I said, Copes, do you reckon anyone would buy it? I said, I've got the artwork. And again, through my contact in China, I said, I might get some of these made up. Honestly, we got 50, I think, made up. There were 25 white ones, 25 grey ones with the Elliot caricature. So I don't think you will get it, because I think they're sold out.
What?
And they were sold out. So if we do a rerun, I'll make sure I'll hit you up and let you know they're available.
Thanks, Drew. Yeah.
Perfect.
No,
perfect.
But I don't know if there's. I'm not across it all, but the last time I heard that, I'm not sure there's too many left. So apologies for that.
No worries.
Well, I've got my one anyway, so I'm set. So.
Oh, you've already bought one?
No, just the one in the picture there. No, not the actual set, just the one shoe. Yeah.
Oh no, I meant the. I thought you'd already.
He's talking about the shirt. Yeah.
The shirt.
No, the shirt, not the shirt.
Yeah.
No, okay. Yep.
No,
good stuff. Well, appreciate a bit of that background there, Andrew. That's great. So, look, I guess just before we sort of get into the show, just for the viewers there, we're just going to have a bit of a chat with Andrew. We've got some great stuff to sort of go over with him there. We'll just have a little bit of a chat about the NBL after that. And of course, we'll finish the show as we do each week, opening a pack of classic cards. So we've actually got a pack from around the year that Andrew was playing for Washington there. So we'll see if we can sort of come up with any funny stories or facts once we open that anyway. So, all right, good stuff.
You know what? I'm sensing a stitch up here.
No, it's definitely unopened.
Unopened. Yeah.
Well, I can tell you the story because it's probably not going to happen here. But if you go on there, I played with the Washington Bullets, they were called back then. They weren't called the Wizards. They were called the Bullets. And played. You'd probably know better than I mean, maybe 8 games across 2 10-day contracts. I can't even
7 games, because I've been through every box score in the last few days. Yeah,
good man. Yeah. So played about 7 games. So it was at the tail end of the season. The Bullets couldn't make the finals, and they brought me over, and it was honestly one of the thrills of my life playing against them. But one of the games that I played in, we were playing against the Donnie Nelson coached Golden State Warriors. Mm-hmm. And it'll eventually come to me, but there was a player on the team that, for the Warriors, I'm not necessarily renowned for my athleticism or defensive prowess, but there was a guy, he was coming down, we're in the half court, drove down the middle. I came over to help out, got into a very fundamentally sound defensive position to take the charge, and he went up and dunked it hard on me. Like this fierce, powerful dunk. And I'm thinking, oh, geez, this is not great. The fans are going crazy, whatever it may be. Well, bugger me if the next year the cards came out and this guy, who I will remember his name, his playing card for the Golden State Warriors was me getting dunked on.
It wasn't Billy Owens or Spreewell. It wasn't one of those.
No, it wasn't those. It'll come to me.
Tom Talbot?
No. Tell me.
It definitely wasn't Judd Buechler, so I'm not going to rush to him.
No, he had some bounce though. Judd Buechler, he was a volleyball player, and
that's right.
He had some really good hops. Buechler went on. He was famous. He went to he was part of the Bulls through those years.
Victor Alexander or Jeff Grayer, one of those two.
No, keep coming.
Josh Grant. No, he only made one shot in that game. It wasn't Chris Gatling.
No,
he was a bit of a dunker back in the day.
No. Keep going. Have you got the stat sheet there? Is it?
I do. Yeah. Only really the stars left. There's only. Well, I'll tell you. So there's Weber, Spreewell, Mullen, Gatling, Avery Johnson was the starting five. The bench was Keith Jennings, Billy Owens, Josh Grant, Jeff Grayer, Victor Alexander, Judd Buechler, and Byron Houston.
Byron Houston.
Hey, that was the only field goal he made that game too. One of four.
Now, in fairness, Google it. You'll see the card. But Byron Houston, he had a tough time of it, and so he ran into some problems post. So. But
hey, you outscored him that game as well, so you got one over him. Yeah.
Thank you. But no, he had this spectacular dunk. Now I don't know why, but in the card, maybe they felt sorry for me. In the card, I'm like this, and he's up, and he's cocking the ball back like this, and for whatever reason, they took my name off the back of the jersey. Maybe because I was no longer in the NBA, and maybe if you're on a card, you've got to play. I don't know what the explanation was, but I actually it's just the red jersey and the number 4. You'll see it. So if you Google it, Byron Houston NBA player card. You'll see him dunking on a number 4 in a red jersey. That is me.
Nice. I'll check that out. Good stuff. Well, look, I guess there's so much that we want to ask you, Andrew. Obviously, sort of just tried to pick a few things. Look. If you're willing to come back for another part 2 in another episode, we'll see how we go. But just obviously with the questions we've got here. So I wanted to start off, I guess, with you starting off as a rookie in the NBL at age 18 for the Tigers, what that was like. Also, what I was reading, it said you averaged 29 that year. So that's got to be a misprint, right, if you were an 18-year-old rookie. But anyway, what can you remember about that season?
Yeah, well, it's a little bit of an anomaly because, yes, I was technically a rookie for the NBL. But I actually started playing with the senior Melbourne Tigers team when I was 15. And I was playing in the Victorian Basketball Championships, which outside of the NBL was the strongest state competition in Australia at the time. And we were also playing in what was called the Southeastern Conference back then. It went on to be called the Seaball. It's now called NBL 1. Yep. But it was, and back then, it was kind of like beta and VHS. The beta and V. So back then in the Southeastern Conference, you had teams like Geelong, ourselves, Frankston. And there was a team in Hobart. There was it was teams from Adelaide, Victoria, New South Wales, and Tasmania were in this league. And it was one where, well, who's going to survive? Is it going to be the Southeastern Conference or the NBL? Now, the NBL had a higher profile, and we all know history shows that it went to the NBL. But back then, in my first year, after my second year, it might have been, Geelong graduated from the Southeastern Conference, went to the NBL. Then Frankston, who are no longer in the league, but Frankston, they went from there. And then the following year, after we actually won the title, the Southeastern Conference title in 1983, and then we went on to go into the NBL in 94. in 84, sorry. So although it was my first year in the NBL, and although I was only 18 years of age, I had already played 2 or 3 years against this, not the same depth, but this quality and this maturity, those types of players. I actually already had a couple of years of playing against those types of teams. So I'm very proud of being an NBL Rookie of the Year. I guess from a pure technical standpoint, if you look at my other levels of competition that I'd already been playing at for a very young age, I was absolutely a rookie in that league, but I wasn't a pure rookie as such.
Got it. So in a way, it would almost be like Luke Travers winning it this year. It'd be a little bit different, but you know what I mean. He's still as a rookie. And he's played 3 seasons already, and played major minutes last season. So good stuff with that. Well, look, I guess next I wanted to sort of just get a little bit of a sort of response from you. So when you were at your time with Seton Hall there in 1988, something that I really remember well. Woody, you were pretty young at that time, so you probably don't remember it that well.
5 years old, man.
Yeah, that's it. But obviously you moved over to Newark, New Jersey to play college ball with the Seton Hall Pirates there, Drewy. You helped the team on a deep NCAA tournament run. You had great games yourself against UNLV and Duke before a tough overtime loss to Michigan there. Just wanted to know what sort of that college experience was like for you on and off the court. And what are your memories of those big NCAA games?
Oh, nothing but fond memories. It was an incredible experience, and one that when I look back on it, I feel privileged to have had that opportunity. It came about because at my club team, the Melbourne Tigers, we were doing my dad was very good friends with the commissioner of the Big East Conference, a guy named Dave Gavitt. And he invited, because he was mates with my dad, he invited us, the Melbourne Tigers, to go over and play a series of preseason games against all the teams in the Big East. Now, back then, the Big East was the most powerful conference. Georgetown, St. John's, Villanova, they just won titles. Syracuse, Connecticut, massive conference. And so we went over there, and that year in 86, we were terrible. I think we might have finished last or second last in the NBL table and only won 3 or 4 games. So we weren't great. But it was part of our own development. We were a younger team with some of my teammates and myself. So we thought, well, this is going to be a lot of fun, good experience. So we went over and played those games, and we did quite well. We beat Georgetown on a buzzer beater. We beat Connecticut. We had a couple of big wins, and the last game of that series was against Seton Hall. And we played, and they beat us. They had Mark Bryant in that team, was their most
big man,
famous player. He's an assistant coach in the NBA right now. But I did quite well. And straight after the game, the coach and the assistant coach, John Carroll, so PJ Calissimo was the coach, and John Carroll was the assistant coach. They approached me about coming on scholarship. And
Andrew, can I interrupt? You're probably being modest again. You said you played quite well. How many points did you drop on Seton Hall that
I can't remember exactly, but it was
30 plus, right? Yeah. Come on.
Well, it might have even had a 4 in front of it.
Yeah. So, nice. Don't be bashful. Don't be bashful, Bruce.
But that's okay. But we lost the game, and it was our last game of the series. So, we played 8 games in 12 days or something. It was a brutal schedule. So I was very committed. I'd already been to the 84 Olympics and just come off the 86 World Championships where Australia didn't do so well. So I was honoured, but my goals were about playing for the Australian team. So I declined to accept that. They wanted me to stay on right then and there. Like, you can become a scholarship player, and after Christmas, when next semester starts, you can actually be eligible to play. So, and I said no, but and for the reasons being is that I wanted to play for Australia and I wanted to prepare for the Seoul Olympics. So fortunately, the assistant coach, John Carroll, was ruthless. For the next 2.5 years or whatever it was, there wouldn't be a week or a month go by where he wasn't calling. And back then, it wasn't like it is today where you just jump on Skype. Their phone bill would have been off the charts because when he got on the phone, and it was just talking about basketball and obviously him saying, we want you to come and play. Can you come and play? And he was relentless. And then what happened was, because of the Seoul Olympics in 1988, the NBL started the season earlier. So it might have started around January or February, finished, and then it was going to start in 1989 at its regular time in March, April, because we were a winter sport back then.
Yeah.
So there opened up this window where I could go to the Olympics, finish the Olympics, go to Seton Hall and play for Seton Hall. And I was older then. I was 23 years of age, and they were hoping that I'd get 2 years of eligibility. So I thought, this is a fantastic opportunity. And as true as I sit here today, yes, I was motivated about the basketball opportunity, but because of my commitments to the Australian team and wanting to play basketball and playing with the Melbourne Tigers, I was struggling to get through my university degree.
Wow.
Couldn't, missing a lot of school. So in all seriousness, not only was it a fantastic opportunity to go over and play in the best conference in the United States and get great coaching for PJ Carlissimo, but it was about, well, here's a chance to finish my degree, because it's not like it is the young folk these days. We were rank amateurs. It was costing us money. I was thinking about my long-term career, thinking, well, I'm never going to make much out of playing the game. So it was all about getting my degree. So I did that. I went over there, joined a very, very good team, and, of course, went through to the championship game against Michigan, lost in overtime on one of the most horrific officiating decisions in the history of the sport.
That was the Ramil Robinson free throws, right?
Correct. Have you seen the end?
Yeah, I remember it well.
Yeah.
And the fun, the thing about that, at the time, I thought, gee, that's a tough call. And I never watched the game afterwards. I just moved on. Disappointed, obviously, when you come so close to becoming short, but you move on. And it wasn't until, 5 or 6 years ago, when it was the 20th, it might have been the 20th anniversary of, well, a bit longer, 20th anniversary of the game. And Seton Hall did their own documentary on the game.
It's on YouTube, actually.
Yeah.
And they were interviewing me, and after that interview, they sent the video, the DVD. They sent me a copy of the DVD to look at. And I actually saw the last few seconds. It was the first time I'd actually, you saw it. I didn't really, like I said, you move on.
Right.
And I was more upset 20 odd years later at seeing what took place and that call that enabled Ramil Robinson to go ahead and knock down a couple of free throws. I was more upset then of how much of a bum call it was than I was at the time.
Good story. And they wouldn't have been able to review sort of calls back then like they're doing now and everything like that, would they?
Nah.
Back in 88. So, no, that's great. Look, as I said, we remember those, that experience very fondly. And, maybe perhaps for some of our sort of, younger viewers and audience there, go onto YouTube and check out some of the highlights. I think there's a documentary and there's a couple of other things on there. I was just watching a little bit this morning there, but some
that
great
whole
highlights.
Doco is on there, actually. On
yeah.
YouTube. Yeah. So.
And obviously, you had some great teammates on that team as well. So I definitely encourage people to check that out. So, all right, I appreciate that one. And look, probably after returning to Australia after that season, you continue to dominate in the league. Let's face it. And you sort of went on to lead the Tigers to their first ever NBL title in 1993 with a 2-1 win against my Wildcats in Perth. I can still see that shot by Andrew Vlahov at the end.
Wow.
And look, I can still see you and Lindsay embracing there. And yeah, just wanted to sort of see. I guess it's some 29 years on there, Andrew. What are your memories about that moment there?
Well, I don't think I'll ever forget it because it was such an important part of our club's history, my history, to share that moment with my dad. As I've gone on to become a father, and you have a greater appreciation for how significant those types of moments are, to be able to share playing elite level sport with another family member. I don't know whether at the time I really appreciated it as much as I do now.
Yep.
And, of course, it wasn't just about the Melbourne Tigers and the Perth Wildcats. The sport in general was going through this boom. And to be a part of that and to be contributing to the promotion of the sport and seeing the impact that was having on so many people's lives, it was an incredible privilege. So, I still have nightmares thinking, well, how did that shot miss? The fickle hand of fate works in mysterious ways.
Yeah.
And that was one where Andrew Vlahov's shot I've never seen a ball go more into a rim and then come out. It would have been very, very hard to live with if we had to come up short on that one. But
definitely,
we were fortunate enough to get the win. It was a important moment in my life and our team's life. But it's wrong to say, I was certainly there and was a piece of the puzzle. But what a team! We had Dave Simmons, we had Leonard Copeland, we had Mark Radke, Rob Sibley, and it was a starting five that was elite. It was.
Who was your other import on that team with LC?
Dave Simmons.
Oh, Simmons, of course.
So they were the two imports, and then we had Ray Gordon, Stephen Whitehead coming off the bench, but we were all the investment was done in the starters, and the other guys were great, really good role players.
Yep.
But we were top heavy, and our starting five were logging big minutes in a 48-minute game. So it's a lot different to it the way it is now. But Mark Radke, Leonard Copeland wasn't the MVP of that series.
Ricky Grace was, man. They gave it to a Perth guy, man. And then in 97, they gave it to your boy, Leonard.
Yeah, but Ricky was fantastic. Take nothing away. He was incredible, and he's one of the all-time greats of our league. He's a bona fide superstars, and I take nothing away from it. But these days, it's probably unlikely that they would give that award, regardless of the impact of someone would need to be, absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I'm an AFL fan, Andrew. It's like when Chris Judd won the Norm Smith when Sydney beat him that year. There was a lot of controversy about that. So Woody's wondering what I'm talking about now. But anyway,
they did. Chris. They did deserve it. I'm not.
Yeah.
Absolutely, they were spectacular, fantastic. But I think most people these days believe that, well, regardless of the circumstances, that it should be someone from the winning team. But that there's this very strong argument that you could put forward to say why. Well, it just needs to be the person that did the best throughout the series. So, tweeted it. We don't labour on that. Ultimately, it's the prize of winning the title that's the most significant.
Hey, Drew, we're NBL historians, and when we look back on the history of our league, that moment with you and your father in that 93 series, it stands out, in our memories. And I got to say, like you said, you speak, you play golf with Leonard twice a week. And I wanted to ask you, right? He joined you as a teammate in 92 at the Tigers. And over the last 30 odd years, you've been teammates. You've coached together at my Sydney Kings.
Yep.
You're on the jump together. You're in the commentary box together, which I'm loving, by the way.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's really good to see that bond and that friendship and how much it means to you guys. Just tell us a little bit about, what that means to you and how that sort of, lasted this long,
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I think fans will often hear, not just in basketball, but in a lot of team sports, that about players or coaches referring about the journey and about the bonds that you create, that because of that goal and that common goal that you're collectively working to pursue, if you don't establish those relationships, very unlikely that you're going to win the title. You may just through talent or but usually it's because you get this bond where you have this kinship amongst the group that extends beyond caring about a result of a basketball game. Yeah, that's the goal, and you get very fixated on it. But there is a greater care about the individual and the other circumstances that go along with the basketball experience that becomes, if not more important. And I think back to my time with the Australian team or probably with the club team, more importantly, because you spend more time with them, that they are the things that are more rewarding and mean more than winning a championship. Right now with my closest friends in the world, guys that went through those experiences with, and they are Mark Radke, Leonard Copeland, Nigel Purchase, who wasn't there in 93, but we spent a lot of time with.
Yep.
these guys that they become your friends more than they do become your teammates. So it's one of the beauties of team sports. It's one of the reasons why with my kids, I didn't care what they played, but I really wanted them to get involved in sports and in particular team sports because of these relationships that you build. And well, I'm grateful to have those friendships. We're more like brothers than we are friends because of the amount of time we actually spend together and how we try to help each other out in whatever we do.
Yeah, you can hear that to this day, you know, you and Leonard specifically.
You guys like sort of giving each other a bit of stick as well, you know? Like.
Well, we always, if you can't laugh at yourself, you can't laugh at anyone. You don't have the right to laugh at anyone if you can't. And a desire to have fun. You know, there's a lot at stake for these NBL teams and the careers and the playoffs. But at the end of the day, if you're not expressing joy and it's not bringing joy to you and others, then there's other things you can do. There's other ways in which you can fulfill those intrinsic rewards, which we all desire. So for us, there is an understanding that you know, we can point out people's imperfections. We can share in some of the failures as well as the successes. And provided it's kept in a context, you can be very, very competitive. Like, you know, we talk more crap on a golf course than we ever did on a basketball course.
I can only imagine. Who normally comes out better on those golf games?
Well,
come on, be honest.
Well, here's the truth, all right? Right now, he has a slightly better handicap than I do. Mm-hmm. But if you take the last 6 times we've played, I've probably won off the stick 4 of those times.
Nice.
So right now, I'm doing quite well.
Nice.
But, you know, I've got to be fair. He wouldn't be fair. If he was talking right now, he'd say, well, I'm better. well, it depends on how you want to look at it. If you want to look at the handicap, well, he is. But I've won probably 4 out of the last 6 times.
Nice.
No, I appreciate that, Andrew. Look, I guess I wanted to sort of go on to chat with you next about these 2 NBA stints that we sort of spoke about briefly before in the 90s there. So I guess I wanted to start with the Bullets. We sort of, you know, briefly touched on that. 7 games towards the tail end of the 94 season. Just wanted to see what your memories of that time were. It's funny, 2 of your teammates in Tom Gugliotta and George Murasan, we've talked about a bit on this show before, and we've actually worn their jerseys. Yep. But yeah, just wanted to sort of see, you know, what that sort of time was like there, and what your sort of memories are with that little stint with the Bullets there.
Well, it is a difficult thing for players to come into a group at that stage of the season. As I was referring to you guys before about those bonds that you will get through, and that are well established by the tail end of a season. So you're coming in there and trying to find a way to feel like you belong and feel like you fit in and to get somehow or other, figure out a way to try to start to seed those bonds and relationships with those players. And they were great. There's some great guys on that, you know. Rex Chapman was also on this team.
Brent Price was there too, wasn't he?
Brent Price was there, and
the late great Kevin Duckworth. Yeah.
Kevin Duckworth, Kenny Walker was on that team. He's a high flying reel, and Georgie Murasan, the big 7'7", he was there. So they were under. Don McLean was another one. Was there.
We pulled his card in a pack a few weeks ago. And actually, Drewy, you actually went up against Doug Overton in 92 in the NBL when he was at the Hawks. And then you partnered up with him, right?
Yeah, so, played alongside him in that short period there. So it was only 10 days. So it wasn't a long period of time. But for me, it was a joy. And, you know, my excitement was there. And I've spoken to Rex Chapman following that, and when our paths have crossed or whatever it might be, and that he and Brent laugh at some of the things that I would do because I was so excited. You know, I remember after the first game where I was there, we actually got a win. We played Denver. Was it Denver? I think it was Denver.
It was.
And hands in, and I was like, "Bullet!" And I was screaming, "Bullets, we're there." This is game 60 something of an They're like, where? And they were like shocked because I yelled out bullet because I was so excited about being a part of this group, getting a win, and so it was difficult because you've got professional guys concerned about their contract, a team that wasn't going to be in the playoffs. Not easy to come in those situations, but Wes Unseld was the coach.
I was going to ask about the late sort of Wes Unseld, obviously an absolute NBA legend. What was he like as a coach? You had Jeff Bizdelic, I think, as the assistant on that team as well, right? Yeah.
I don't remember Jeff all that much. I do certainly remember Wes. Yeah. And it was hard for him as well. Not a lot of practice time. So for me, the hardest thing is coming in, you're thrown into this situation. You don't have there's very few practice days. So you're playing a lot, and I'm trying to learn their structure and their systems on the fly. And there's a whole, it just makes it really difficult. And you're really relying on your instincts. And for a guy like me who never had success from using athleticism, I was more a product of structure. Offensive structure, getting the right level of structure on the defense to not be exposed. They were very important for me to be able to contribute. And when you don't get to practice and you don't have an intimate understanding of the structure, it's very hard to make a significant impact. But the thing that I got out of it the most, and it was more a personal thing because the stats and the numbers do not validate what I'm about to say, but I got peace of mind in that been playing overseas, been playing here in the NBL and, of course, with the Australian team, and you're always curious about whether your abilities could hold up. But having seen these other players getting brief experience to play against other teams, the greatest thing it gave me was peace of mind. Like I said, it wasn't going to be validated to others because the numbers and the contribution was so really insignificant. But it validated in my own mind that, hey, in the right set of circumstances, I wasn't good enough to play on any team, but in the right set of circumstances, that maybe there could have been a role for me. And back then, in the NBA, was there 10 foreign players in the whole league? I mean, there was not. It's not like it is today.
No, not at all.
Definitely not.
There were different challenges. It was a different era, different moments, but it did provide me with a tremendous peace of mind that I felt like I could contribute.
I'm assuming Luke would have been the only other Aussie in the league at that time in '94, wouldn't he? Unless I've missed someone. I think it must have just been you two at that time.
That's it.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah.
Chris Anstey came in '97, I think.
He was after, yeah. Well, that's, I guess, a bit of a segue just probably for your second stint over there as well there, Andrew. So, look, as I mentioned at the start, you played with the San Antonio Spurs in that 1999 season, the season, and obviously the Spurs won the championship. You went 16-3 in the 19 games you played there, so pretty good effort there. Just wanted to see,
can I say that? I was a 40-point player.
Yeah.
The only time I was getting 90 for 40 points up or 40 points down.
Fair enough. So with the Spurs, that would have happened a bit, right?
So, yeah, and they're a really good team. So most of the times you're saying I got the W in not one of those, how many did you say? 16
19. 16 wins. Yeah.
19 games,
not one of those 16 wins, did I have could take any responsibility for the win and not, and well, I guess on the flip side, it was junk time when we were getting our asses kicked that I was into those losses. So I was really irrelevant. As far as making a contribution on the floor as a player, very irrelevant. I did my best to not be a hindrance, to do the very best I could. I think I was well received. I made some tremendous friendships.
Yeah, I was going to say, Drew, I've heard Malik Rose and Steve Kerr both speak very fondly about the time they spent with you in those years, right? And I'm sure you're in touch with them occasionally from time to time. Yeah.
I was in touch with Malik a lot during my time with the Sydney Kings.
Yep.
Because he was like an assistant general manager with
Philly, wasn't it?
Sacramento as well.
Sacramento, it was, yeah.
Brandon Williams was another teammate.
Right.
He was in the same situation as me. He was a part of the 15-man roster, Brandon Williams. He was the general manager or the assistant general manager of Philadelphia. So a lot of these guys I got to see. I spoke to Steve Kerr a little bits and pieces, but I certainly haven't kept in touch with him. Yep. But spent a lot of time with him. He was one of my closest friends on the team. Him and Will Perdue.
Yep.
And Malik was there. But just a tremendous bunch of guys. Really enjoyed the experience to be there, to be part of the group. And the best thing I can say about me is I wasn't a distraction. Yeah. I wasn't a distraction. I didn't cause them any problems, and just very grateful to have that opportunity.
There was a game you played in there, Andrew. I think it was February '99. I wanted to ask you about, and look, obviously testing the memory here. But you played against the Suns. Now that Suns team featured your two former teammates in Tom Gugliotta and Rex Chapman, and also featured the big redhead Longley's. Yeah, do you remember that?
And if I'm not mistaken, I don't think he played in that game. Was Charles in that game?
It's a good call, actually. I could have it up before.
I think he was injured a lot of that season. Now we beat them. I didn't play in the game, but we beat them at their place. Mm-hmm. And Luke, when we were in Phoenix, and we beat them at the buzzer on get that jersey out, on a Sean Elliott 3 at the buzzer to beat the Suns in the Suns. And the night before I went, Luke took me to his house to spend some time with Luke. And one of the things that I remember, and I don't know if Charles actually played in that game.
I'm getting the box score up right now.
You're a good man. I'll tell you what, one of the most memorable things that happened in that game was the next day after I spent the night with Luke, we came back and we were at shoot-around in the morning, and the Suns had shoot-around after it. And where we were under the venue where the bus would come and pick us up, we were walking there and they were coming in and Luke was coming in. So I was talking to Luke again just outside the bus. And I remember Charles Barkley got out of his car and was coming over and he said g'day to Luke. And I kid you not, he looked, g'day. Oh, he didn't say g'day. Hello, Andrew.
Wow.
He knew my name. He knew my name. And it was one of the biggest buzzes I got. Freaking Charles Barkley knows my name. It was, now I think he would have probably remembered it from our times with the
Boomers in '96 when Shane Hill really pissed him off, right?
Correct.
Yeah. That was '96.
Right. I think it was more to do with that than anything else.
Yeah.
But I was still one of the great thrills.
Hey, Jason Kidd had a triple-double in that game, by the way, which obviously weren't happening that often back then. So he had 14 points, 15 rebounds, and 10 assists. And he took 0 3-point shots. And we know how he obviously changed his game to become a 3-point shooter there. So, no, interesting. I thought I'd just sort of see what your sort of memories were with that, Andrew. Really appreciate that.
I've got I got really fond memories of my time. And it's not just with the players. Living in San Antonio, the way in which they embrace me, it's a Spurs town. They don't have a football team. They don't have a lot of major other sporting or teams that actually come out of San Antonio. So they love their Spurs like no other. And the way in which the community, the players, the administration, the guys in the media, I hung out on the road a lot of the times with some of the guys that would travel with us were in the media. And just a really, like anything, unfortunately, you lose contact, and it's a lot harder these days than it was. A lot harder back then than it is these days because of social media and the way in which you keep contact with people. But I don't have a lot to do with many of them, but they certainly are in my head, and I've got very fond memories of them.
Well, Gaze,
certainly a class team. Yeah.
Well, Gaze, you started the trend of Australians in San Antonio. Since then, Shane Hill, Paddy Mills, Aaron Baines. Now you got Jock Landale, Matty Nielsen. You started that trend,
that's
man.
True.
So,
well, I think it's probably more coincidence than anything else. But that's Greg Popovich. I think with R.C. Buford as the general manager and Greg Popovich as the coach, they were one of the first adopters of international play. And recruiting guys that went beyond the skills on the floor. Recruiting guys that were good teammates that clearly you need a level of skill, but would buy into a culture, would buy into a system. And the Europeans, because of the environments they've come through playing senior basketball from a very early age, were different. I think it was recognised by the Spurs and later clearly by the entire league right now. But back then it was a privilege to be a part of that group.
Good stuff. Also, look, I really wanted to, I guess, probably just finish this part of the show there, and I guess talk about the all those years of service you have, representing the Australian Boomers there. As I mentioned earlier, you played in 5 consecutive Olympics from #84 up until 2000. Then look, in the 2000 Olympics, you were selected as the Australian team Olympic flag bearer. Just wanted to see, Andrew, how much did that mean to you, and how special was that leading out the Olympic team in front of all the home fans?
Yeah, it was the highest honour I think you can have as an athlete, to be recognised by those that are making the decision. And it's one person, it's the chef de mission that makes the decision who the flag bearer is. And in fact, you're actually named as the captain of the team, and part of the responsibilities of the captain is you are the flag bearer. Well, that certainly was the case back then. I don't know if it's changed since, but to be recognised by your peers that way is something really special. To be recognised with a group. We're lucky here in Australia that we've produced some incredible athletes, and to be seen to be worthy of such a tremendous honour is humbling, and it's one of the greatest experiences of my life to be recognised in that way. And the honour of carrying the flag is special, and when it's in your home country. Back then, Stadium Australia, in its configuration for the Olympics, held, I think, 115,000 people, 120,000 people.
It was huge, wasn't it?
And then to walk out in Stadium Australia, representing Australia, carrying the Australian flag, and getting the support from all the other athletes, it was a very special moment, and one that I'm incredibly grateful for.
And what was even better in that 2000 Olympics, you pretty much didn't miss a shot either, did you? Do you recall how good you feel? I was looking at the stats there. Woody just had this up before. So in that 2000 Olympics, from the 2-point area, Andrew was 30 from 35 shots.
Yeah,
it was that.
Well, a lot of layups, and I think in that series too. And in fact, if you look back, my numbers in the NBL, where it was a 48-minute game and you're playing, and I was playing 47 of the 48 minutes, the numbers were a little exaggerated. But back then with the Australian team, I was getting opportunities, but it wasn't like the same. So the volume of points that I was averaging wasn't the same, but with the teammates around me and the way it was designed, even, I can't remember exactly, but I remember from the 3-point line was pretty decent as well. So it was
decent everywhere. Yeah.
So, but that was because I wasn't taking bad shots. It was one of those where you're not forced, because of playing along Shane Heal, Mark Radke, Luke Longley, Andrew Vlahoff, all those guys that we had on that team. Brett Maher, Martin Catalini were there. Ricky Grace was in that team.
There was
a lot of different options, and because of the lot of different options, I could be very selective and remain pretty high percentage.
Well, those percentages, Woody, I think Andrew's being modest again, but look, we talk about the old 50, 40, 90 thing there. So for that 2000 Olympics, 86% from the 2-point line, 44 from 3-point line, and his usual 94% from the free throw line. So yeah, well and truly had the 50, 40, 90 covered in that one.
No, I appreciate it. And unlike it is today, too, there was more games back then.
Yeah.
So it was harder. It's. I look back and even the way it was this last Olympics, where you had the 3 games.
That's it. Yeah.
And you could be out after 3 games.
Yeah.
It's and really in that 2000 Olympic team, I think it was fatigue that got us at the end. We had the semi-final, then we lost that one, and then played off to the bronze the very next day. And we, unfortunately, we were cooked.
Yeah. Was that the best squad, do you think, you played with for Australia, that 2000 team? Or is there another one that...
The 96 one was our closest we come in that bronze medal game. Because of the way the pools were, we had this incredible win in the quarterfinal. Remember Tony Ronaldson hit the 3?
Yep, we do.
Against Croatia. But because of the pool system, we actually had to play against the United States to get to the gold medal game.
Yeah.
And they were a stacked team. So we lost that one. And then we played against Lithuania in the bronze medal game, who had Sabonis.
Yep,
was
I remember.
Marshallonis.
Yeah,
was on that
Sabonis
team.
Marshallonis was there. Yeah.
They had a great team, and down the stretch we had a chance to win. We might have, I want to say, 2 or 3 minutes to go. I think we cut it to 2. We might have cut it to 3, and it was bloody Avidas Sabonis that hit a couple of threes down the stretch.
Yep.
Which he could hit him, but that's not what he's renowned for.
No, he didn't even jump when he shot those ones. I can picture that.
No, and he made a couple of huge ones that really cost us. But they were great. The Atlanta games, the Sydney games, and the Seoul games where we played off for a medal, they were fantastic experiences to be part
And what did Tokyo mean for you last year? I mean, look, obviously we saw your emotions sort of covering
right?
that. Woody and I were a little bit like that as well, not afraid to say. But yeah, how did that sort of feel, you know, just after being part of the Boomers for so long and sort of playing such a big role with them, just to see them win? And how do you see the Boomers' future looking?
Yeah, I think that the way I try to think of an analogy on what it is when you become a part of the Boomers, it's like becoming part of the mafia. Once you're in, it's very hard to get out, and you're a part of this organisation that you feel obliged to honour, represent in a good way, of course. And although it was many, many, many years ago where I was contributing, you still feel this kinship and this spirit of this goal that we had that went beyond me, and you are indoctrinated into the Boomers culture when you're there, and it's different. But for me, when I was first coming in, it was Phil Smythe, Larry Senstock, Ian Davies, Wayne Carroll. These are the guys that were educating me about being a Boomer, and nowhere near the resources they have these days back when I was first starting. But the goal was always the same: represent Australia at the highest level, represent it with dignity and honour, help propagate the game, help your teammates, and the way in which we come together to share this common goal. And although, like I said, no longer involved, you still feel like you're part of the journey.
Definitely.
And
plus you played with about half the squads, like, you know, dads in some capacity in another, right, in that team?
Well, that's there's some of it, but the thing about this is, for me, it was a little bit more emotional because of what my father's contribution to the game, and his, you know, playing in 3 Olympic Games, coaching in 4, and just to see his life dedicated to growing the game, providing opportunities for people at the grassroots level, in the old adage of build it and they will come, being the mantra for his way of trying to bring the game to the people, primarily here in Victoria, but really throughout the country, is something that, as a youngster, I knew nothing different. And to see the blood, sweat and tears, the toil to achieve that goal, and unsure in your own lifetime whether you would be able to witness or whether my dad would be able to witness it, to finally see that first step was drawing a lot of emotion. And probably the thing that got me emotional the most was, you never know how others are going to react to that medal. But I actually commentated the game, and I felt pretty good, and was more excitement and jubilation. And then I was on that Shinya program afterwards, and there was a quick turnaround. It might have been 30 minutes between the end of that game before the Shinya program started. So I was out there getting changed, doing other things, talking to Andy and Lisa Staleka, who were on the show, getting ready for the show. And literally just a few minutes before we were to go on, I checked my phone, and I couldn't stop scrolling with people sending messages to me and expressing gratitude to me. And that's the thing that created the most emotional component for me. So I went on that set thinking, just humbled by the incredible outpouring of people acknowledging my contribution. Now, like I said, in a real sense of the word, I had bugger all to do with this particular team, and I was 20-something years ago that I was actually involved in the Boomers. I've had virtually no other involvement in the Boomers since then. So it was just really humbling that people would want to share that with me.
No, excellent story there. Look, really appreciate those responses there, Drew. Some great sort of trip down memory lane there. I had a couple of little sort of quick ones that I just wanted to throw at you just before we just go into a little bit of NBL talk. Just a few quick ones. We don't want to keep you here all day, but I just wanted to see one thing when I was going through all these box scores and everything else like that. Had you realised that you actually played with or against the 3 tallest players in NBA history? Had you realise that? So you played with Big George.
I did not.
You played against Manute Bol and Sean Bradley. So I thought that was a pretty random.
I did not know that.
Random fact there, right?
Well, Sean Bradley, he's a Mormon.
Yeah,
Sean
he was
Bradley
over here, wasn't he? I remember.
He
on a mission.
in Sydney, and he was here for 2 years, doing. I think it was 2 years, part of his Mormon mission. Now, unfortunately, and we send our prayers and wishes to Sean Bradley. He was involved in an accident, and he's got some significant challenges. So. But yeah, he was a big fella that had a pretty decent NBA career.
Yeah, and everyone sort of just talks about him getting dunked on and stuff all the time. How about all the stuff that he did? The amount of sort of block shots and shots that he changed. The other one as well. This is probably sounds like a bit of a fan sort of question, but just something I couldn't see from my little investigations. But did you ever play against Michael Jordan? Because
I did not.
Okay, and just to let the audience know there. So in '94, when you were with Washington, Jordan was really badly playing baseball. In '99, when you were with the Spurs, Jordan had retired. Yep. And then in the '84 Olympics, which Jordan played, and then, of course, the Dream Team in '92, Australia didn't play the US there. So isn't that interesting? Okay.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate one. I did have an experience with Michael Jordan in '84. The '84 Olympics there was 2 villages. There was UCLA and USC. They were staying at UCLA. We were staying at USC campus. But there was a time when our paths crossed, but this is in a period where Michael Jordan wasn't Michael Jordan.
Yeah, he was Mike Jordan at that time.
and he's playing in North Carolina, and obviously everyone was really high on his potential. But I don't think even the most optimistic person would have thought that he was going to have the impact on the sport that he eventually did. Everyone knew he was going to be great. He was always going to be great. But I don't think anyone predicted that he was going to be the greatest of all time back in 1984.
So you've probably answered one of my questions there. I was going to sort of say, how do you sort of feel on the old LeBron versus MJ debate there? But you've just answered it there, right?
Well, yes. I think LeBron is catching up. And if you had asked me 4 or 5 years ago, I would have thought there'd been daylight between them.
Yeah, likewise.
But really, with what we're seeing of LeBron, his longevity, the way in which he's been able to maintain his game at an incredibly high level, the gap is small. The other thing is too, people dismiss Kobe in this conversation. Yep. I don't dismiss Kobe in that conversation. Now, I still think Michael Jordan is the greatest, but Kobe was something incredibly special as well. Yep. And even for me, I have a little bit more of an emotional attachment to Larry Bird and Magic Johnson. Mm-hmm. Now, I think Michael Jordan's the greatest, but what Larry Bird and Magic Johnson did for the sport of basketball,
absolutely,
I think goes a little under the radar. Yep. They're rusted on real basketball people understand how the NBA was before Bird and Magic came along.
Yeah, that's what got me into the early '80s when they were advertising all the Converse weapons. I think they were called. They had all the ads back then, and absolutely.
But not only that, they were winning and they were superstars.
Yeah,
and it was at a period where just before they came along, the NBA was on the nose. Yeah. They had a lot of scandals with substances and other issues. There was not even live game. The finals were on delay. It was not. And Magic and Larry, and closely followed on the footsteps of that, or not on the footsteps, during their heyday, Michael comes along and goes to another level. But if not for Larry and Magic, I think the game would be a lot different now if it was not for their contribution and their greatness in the sport as well. So they all contribute, but those two are right there as well.
Well, Andrew, you say Kobe, right? And I always say to people, you talk about Michael Jordan and Kobe, there's a comparison there. But you talk about Magic Johnson, slightly bigger guy who's very unselfish, likes to pass the basketball. You can make more of a comparison with Magic and LeBron in terms of the way they played, and then Kobe and Michael, right? Even though there's always the
other thing that sticks out, and this is an old guy reflecting back and talking about olden days, but the thing that sticks out to me is that it was a different era and you had different challenges. The athleticism now and the depth of athleticism with the players is more than what it was back there. Tick that box.
Mm-hmm.
It was brutal back there. What Jordan had to go through, the physical beating and the physical nature of the game is completely different to what these guys are dealing with. And that wear and tear, and maybe it's one of the reasons why LeBron's been able to keep going and do something incredibly special. But, take nothing away from him, but it would have been a different set of circumstances of the challenges he would have faced when guys are actually literally banging, bashing, punching, brawling, all those areas. You can't do any of that anymore. So it makes it hard to compare eras, but physically, I think it was a little more challenging back then than it is today, albeit that you're dealing with greater athletes these days.
Absolutely.
Well, not greater athletes. The depth of greater athletes is much better.
And I think the skill set as well for some of the bigs and everything like that. I mean, the way the bigs sort of, play the game now outside the key, and obviously being a lot more athletic.
Go in there.
Yeah.
No post up. You come down blazing away from the 3-point line.
I love 3-pointers as much as everyone, but I watch the game now, and I'm sounding like the old man as well now, Andrew. But I think you start off inside, get that low post game going, and work your way out. But I mean, the old thing, 3 points is worth more than 2 is something you sort of keep hearing, right? But
it is, and they shoot it so well. But I think the aesthetic of the game is important, and its beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah.
But for me, I admire the games. I watch more NBA basketball than I think most people.
Mm-hmm.
So I see a lot of it, and I absolutely love it. So I'm not, but it is very consistent. Almost each teams are running the same stuff. They're all. I can't tell you what these days is a good shot and a bad shot because some of the shots that they take. My goodness, back in our day, it was they would have been seen as just stupid, outrageous shots.
Yeah.
But the game has evolved where they're no longer stupid, outrageous shots. They're just a normal shot. You see a guy, I don't know if you watched the game the other day, guy dribble, get in coast to coast, go all the way into the basket, continue the dribble, come out to the 3-point line and shoot a 3-point field goal.
Yes, that was, I seem to remember the commentators. Yeah, I forget what game that was, but I think I did see that as well.
And bigs, doesn't matter who you are, everyone's got to be. It has a license seemingly to come down and blaze away from the 3-point line. The system, it's very much read and react. Let's throw in some concepts, and then you guys just play off it. Whereas back in our day, it was a lot more structured.
Yeah.
Could you picture big Luke Longley popping out the top of the key for a long 3 there, or what?
Well, there's a lot of players that you could look back on and you think, well, how would they fit in today's game? I think Luke would be fine because he can pass the.
He was a decent free throw shooter, wasn't he, as well?
And he could pass the ball so well. And that you adapt and do different things. But, yeah, it is different. But there are many elements of how it used to be played that I miss.
No, that's great. Well, look, really appreciate it, Andrew. I had some other stuff there. I'm just conscious of time there. So, as I said, if we get you back for another time, we'll save some of those. But I had a few ones. But I just wanted to maybe have a bit of NBL talk there, just to sort of, I guess we just wanted to sort of see, noting that the season's been pretty interrupted due to COVID there. Just if how you've sort of seen the season going to date. Is there maybe a standout team or a couple of players that maybe have impressed you so far?
Well, I think the players that I've really enjoyed watching so far, and there are many, many, but the top ones, I always like watching Bryce. The work that he does off the ball as well as on the ball.
Thumbs up for that.
He's a delight to watch. And, he's not shooting the ball as well this season as he had in the past, but still, the way in which that he works with his teammates both on and off the ball is a joy. Strangely enough, his teammate Vic Law is a stud.
Mm-hmm.
He can shoot the ball inside, outside, rebounding full, really high basketball IQ. In fact, I think that he also went to North. Did he go to Northwestern? I think he might have went to a highly academic college as well. I can't remember where he went.
Yeah, I know these ones.
But he's a super smart basketball player, and along the same lines.
Northwestern, yep.
Was it Northwestern? Yeah,
Yep.
which is it's an academic school.
When you hear him speak, you can tell as well.
Yeah,
right? So,
yeah. And Robert Franks is another one.
Oof.
That's very similar in many respects to Vic Law. The way inside, outside, plays well with his teammates. He's an unselfish guy, buys into a system. They are just real super players. I've been really impressed with Joe Chi from the Phoenix. Now, I know he didn't have a great one against Brisbane a couple of nights ago, but his shot blocking, he's different. He runs the floor. He hasn't been shooting a lot, but seeing some of his games when he was in China and with the Chinese national team, he actually has a perimeter game.
Okay.
Now, we haven't seen a lot of that with Phoenix, but inside, outside, the rim protection there is been great. So, off the top of the head, I'm sure there's plenty I'm missing, but you put me on. I'm not real prepared for you.
Well, it's actually at the start of the season, Andrew, when we had to choose our award winners. Robbie went with Joe Chi as MVP, and I went with Vic Law as MVP, right?
But they all laughed at me when I said Joe Chi.
No,
we did laugh at him.
We did laugh at him.
Yeah.
That's only because I didn't want to pick Bryce Cotton and be a Perth homer, so I wanted to pick someone different. But
No, and that's fair enough, but they're all good candidates, that's for sure.
Hey, Andrew, I just want to ask you a little bit about my Sydney Kings here. Losing Jordan Hunter for the season. RJ Hunter's out for the season now.
Yeah.
I hear that they're going to get maybe Matt Mooney to come and join. But
he was on a 10-dayer, wasn't he? Oh, he might still be on a 10-dayer.
Oh, man.
So that would be highly optimistic. But, sometimes those guys, they're on the fringe. They know they're only going to pick up a 10-dayer, and they're looking for either a new home where they can settle down and be part of a franchise and feel like you're contributing beyond just any particular game. You're part of the whole group. So that it may be a possibility that.
But there's a glaring issue here with Jarrell Martin playing the 5, and then you got Galloway coming in playing the 5. There's a hole there. We need a proper center potentially to what do you think there?
No, I think that they've got enough there with Jarrell Martin. He's a star.
We know you love Jarrell, man.
Oh, he. How you guys made your preseason predictions.
Yep.
He was my preseason prediction for MVP. But I think when you look at him now, I know Xavier Cooks is not a 5-man, but when they play small ball, Xavier Cooks can play a bit as well. They've been able to find players that have been given an opportunity and made the most of it. Now, you're going to help me out with names here. The Bales kid.
Yeah, Diwali. Yeah, we had his coach. We had his coach on our show recently. His trainer. So
he's been really good. The DJ Vasiljevic is a guy that's coming back in. Makur is a guy that can pinch hit and maybe give you a few minutes in the center spot. But I think right now, with the way that Chase Buford is coaching the team, that it lends itself to the so-called positionless basketball.
Yep.
So I think what he is doing, provided Jalen Adams holds up, I think he is going to be a really, really good player in our league.
Oh, hell yeah.
He can shoot it, he can pass it, he can run a team. And he's had some injury setbacks. So I wouldn't judge him just on what you've seen so far, but judge him on his G League and other things that he's done. I think that he's going to, and provided you believe he can hold up and stay healthy, then I think what they should be doing is just get the best available player.
Right. Okay.
The best available. And they run a lot of 5-out motion.
Yep.
Yeah, they've got their sets, but the floor is very spread. So they're not looking to dominate run their offensive structure that's keyed on posting people up. There's a lot of variety. And with what the players they've got, I think that they've got enough versatility on the defensive end where you don't necessarily see a glaring weakness. You can identify weaknesses, but there's nothing there that you say one particular player is going to be the panacea to our problems on the defensive end.
Yep.
So because of that, and because of the world we live in right now and the difficulty is to get players, get the best player, whatever they are, and they'll be able to make him fit in.
Good call.
Yeah, nice.
Perimeters, if I was going to err on the side of something, and it doesn't matter what position, because we've seen it, Jarrell Martin, he can knock it, but I think they would welcome some perimeter scoring.
Right. Mm-hmm. And that's what RJ Hunter was supposed to provide, right?
Supposed to do.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, let's hope he recovers well. Yeah. Leonard Copeland was worried because his position as the greatest ever player out of Georgia State to come to Australia was going to be in challenge. So now that's no longer.
I don't think that was ever in doubt, man. That was never going to be challenged.
Nice. And now, Woody, I know there's been a lot of changes with the schedule. Did we still want to go through the games? Up to you, mate. I know, obviously, there's been a game cancelled on Sunday already, but what we've done we're
commentating that game.
Oh, really? So you got the afternoon off to go
I'll bring it up
with LC now, right? Yeah.
Bring it up real quickly.
All right. Yep. So we've got a pretty full round. What do you got there, Woods?
Yeah, let's just quickly go through the games and we can give our, who we think's gonna take him. So Brisbane, Sydney tomorrow. I'm obviously gonna go with my Kings. You guys?
Brisbane for sure.
I like Brisbane in this one. I think they're going to go through a period of adjustment. The Sydney Kings. I do like the Sydney Kings, but I think Brisbane are playing well.
Yep, being a bit of a Sydney Kings moment there. All right, Adelaide versus Melbourne. I got Melbourne for sure.
I don't know. I wouldn't say for sure.
Adelaide looked all right the other night, didn't they?
Yeah, I wouldn't say for sure.
Okay, maybe not for sure.
But yeah, I'll tip them.
Yeah, I'll agree with Drewy there. Yeah.
Hawks versus Wildcats. This is going to be a good game. Probably take the Hawks at home after Perth Wildcats lost
I'm taking the
Adelaide
Hawks
the other night. But
I'm taking the Hawks because coming off a loss, Brian Gorge is going to have them cranked up, and the Hawks at home.
I'll say Perth, but hey, I'm not going to say the Hawks, am I? Yeah.
You're not. And I'm going to go out to this game at Kudos Bank Arena. Robbie, you're not going to come with me, are you?
I'm probably not, mate. I've got to wait for this booster thing. You go out and enjoy it. I'll come with the next game with you.
All right. Good on you, I got my Kings at home.
I got my booster a couple of weeks ago.
Nice.
Likewise, Drew. Likewise. So I got my Kings in that one, you guys?
I'll say Kings. If I'm picking Brisbane in the Brisbane home, I'll pick Sydney at Kudos.
This is a tough one, but I think you're making sense there, Rob.
All right, Cairns, New Zealand, we just talked about that. I mean, Cairns have played 4 games. That's it.
Yeah.
It seems like they haven't played in a long time, right? So,
I'm going with New Zealand
let's
in this
move
one.
on there. Tasmania versus...
Yeah.
Oh, that's actually... Isn't that the one that's been called off?
That's the cancelled one,
That's
the one you
said.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm going to go Southeast Melbourne versus Tasmania, guys.
Yeah.
Got to go Southeast for that one. Yeah.
Illawarra at home to Adelaide. Illawarra I got.
Definitely.
Yeah, because Adelaide, this would have been, they played on Tuesday night, Friday, 3 games in 6 days or whatever. So I'll go with the Hawks.
Yep.
This one here, Southeast Melbourne versus Cairns. I can't see Cairns after such a break, challenging Southeast Melbourne at home.
We saw what the Wildcats looked like the other night. They looked really flat, didn't they, after that break? So, yeah, Southeast for me.
Yeah.
And then your last one, I think it's probably going to be the game of the round, Brisbane versus Melbourne, the very last one. I think maybe Brisbane.
Tough.
Maybe Brisbane on this one.
The only problem with that is look at Brisbane's schedule, though. They've been home, Sydney, Melbourne. It's busy. And their depth, they've got decent depth. And they're at home.
Well, that one's actually in Brisbane. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, they're at home, but it's Melbourne to me playing the best defense of anyone in the competition.
Yep.
And when you're tired and provided Melbourne are relentless like they have been on the defensive end, it becomes hard when you're a bit fatigued.
Jack White coming back to that team's just giving him just another dimension defensively as well, isn't it?
Yeah. So
and we went very high on Melbourne at the start of the year, but Vickerman's doing such a great job with them on the defensive end, man, and playing great. So big surprise packet. So
no, they're a good team. They're a very, very good team.
Yeah.
Oh, good stuff. All right. Well, now we sort of come pretty much to the last part there, Andrew, that we mentioned where we open an old pack of cards. Now, I should pre-warn you. I say it every episode. Woody carries on like a bit of a pork chop when this happens. He gets very excited. So
man.
just let him go if he does that. But yeah, we'll see what we can sort of talk about.
I might struggle to remember some of that.
Okay,
I'm looking for a Byron Houston card.
This is not a stitch up, okay? All right, like Drew said.
Well, when you said it, I wasn't familiar with the work that you're doing here, so I just assumed that you guys knew.
All right, so
that's the fun part.
This has been sitting on the shelves for about 25 years. So
wow, you might be devaluing a pack of cards.
Possibly.
All right, let's do this. Not even easy to open these days. So, here we go.
Good sound effects coming through the mic, Woods. I like that.
All right, the very first card is a checklist card. Oh. And Robbie, you want to tell Drewy what we do with checklist cards on this show and why we do it?
Okay, so Andrew, you're probably familiar with Lee Ellis's work. Yeah, so we rip it up, chuck it over the shoulder, and we open the next one. So that's
nice.
Yeah, done.
Oh, to Lee Ellis.
The only thing is you might have ripped up some checklist that's rare as hen's
possibly,
teeth, and you might just tore up thousands of dollars in.
Get the glue out, stick it back together.
I hope not. All right, we got Indiana Pacers forward John Williams.
John Williams. Now, there's a guy that was around for a while. I don't know if power forward, I want to say.
Yep, power forward.
That's not Hot Plate Williams, though. That's a different Williams, right?
No, that is Hot Plate Williams.
It is Hot Plate Williams.
Yeah,
he used to play with the Cavs back in the day.
Yeah, correct. Yep, that's him.
Wow. Okay.
Correct.
All right, love this guy. He was a fill-in for the All-Star game and won MVP, and Lee Ellis loves his dunk. All right, who am I talking about? All right,
Tommy
Chambers.
With Utah there,
yeah. How underrated was Tom Chambers?
He was good, yeah. It's funny, I forgot him with the Jazz there. I can just picture him with Phoenix, but not the Jazz.
All-Star game MVP in what year? I'm going to put you on the spot, Rob.
89.
89.
Is that right? Well, he had that one of the most spectacular dunks in transition. I'm trying to remember who it was over.
He jumped over someone to the right of the screen, wasn't it?
Yeah, you're going to the right and two-handed.
Oh, just ridiculous.
Yeah.
All right.
He dunked over Mark Jackson.
Yeah,
there you go.
There you go.
Yep.
All right, I got a rookie card here. All rookie, Ultra Fleer, 94-95. I mean, we just spoke about him. He had a triple-double. He's now the head coach of the Dallas Mavericks.
Jason Kidd.
Wow. That's a nice card. I like that.
Card.
An Olympian, gold medalist in 2000 as well. And he's doing a great job with Dallas. I think
he is. I agree.
They've had some challenges.
Yep.
And they've done quite well.
I like the fact that he's playing Josh Green. He doesn't care that Josh Green is taking too many 3-point shots.
Well,
good.
Yeah.
It's been a bit up and down.
It has been. But from all reports, Josh is enjoying playing under him. So that's
great.
Good. Yeah. And the one of the best rebounding guards before, you got Westbrook and all these guards back then, Jason Kidd. All right, this is one that might escape me. Guard from the Pistons, Mark Mason with a C.
Mark Mason?
He played with the Nuggets as well, I remember.
Yeah, I remember Mark Mason.
Yep.
Did he play, Mark Mason, you can look this up here, Rob. Did he go to college at Temple? Yeah.
Temple.
And he was a flat-out scorer.
Is it Mason or Macon? I always said it Macon.
Macon.
Macon. Yeah.
Mark Macon. Yeah, flat-out scorer, just a shooter.
Yeah.
Shoot it. And did he lead the college in scoring, or did he lead the NCAA in scoring? Maybe not. That might be a bit of a stretch. But he was at Temple.
Did he face him at all in college?
No, but he played. Temple's in Philadelphia.
Yep.
It is. And when he was there around that same time.
Right. So you heard about him,
Yeah.
Assistant coach at Temple now, actually.
Right.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
John Chaney was the coach. Who's the coach?
Yeah.
No.
That rings a bell. Yeah.
All right. So we've got Minnesota Timberwolves, and we talked about this team the other day, Robbie. Winston Garland.
Oh, wow. He played with the Clippers as well, and Cleveland, I think, if I remember rightly. Winston Garland. Yep.
Well, isn't there a Garland there now?
Garland.
Darius, yeah.
Is that his dad? Is that his son?
I don't think there's any relation there.
Good question, actually.
I'm pretty sure Garland's the son of whether it's him. Garland is the son of a former NBA player.
He is the father, yep.
He is. Wow.
He is. Winston is Darius's dad. Yep,
I did not know that. Good.
I'm here for you, boys.
Awesome. Now, we love this guy. Mark Curry, Mr. Cooper, references him in the show. Ex-Golden State Warrior, okay? Then Miami Heat. I know you got his jersey. We talked about him earlier on the show. Billy Owens.
Billy Owens.
Yeah.
Billy O, baby.
I've got a few of his jerseys. Wood's about 3 of them. You know I love Billy Owens back in the day.
I've always wanted one. I haven't been able to get a Billy Owens jersey, man.
He was quality.
Yeah, that mobile guy, he could shoot it. And, yeah, he's a good player.
Big unit too,
Yep.
Did they? No, wasn't was Derek Coleman they won a championship with? Did Billy Owens win a title at Syracuse?
Ooh,
I know. I think
Carmelo.
Carmelo.
Yeah, Carmelo definitely did. Yeah.
But was Billy Owens? Did he win it?
I don't know.
Well, Coleman left in '89, right? And then Billy Owens was drafted.
He was an All-American and Player of the Year,
right?
But I don't think he actually won.
No, maybe I'm getting.
Yeah, but geez, he had a good resume coming out of college. That's for sure.
Yeah. No, he was a stud.
All right. Los Angeles Clippers forward Charles Outlaw.
Bo
Hey,
Outlaw. Yep. He also went on to play with the Magic as well. Yep, good old.
A few teams, I think. I think he played with a few.
A bit of a journeyman he was in the end.
Yeah,
he wasn't much of a scorer, but was a total hustle type player, wasn't he?
Rebound, defender. Yeah.
Didn't your brother run into him in a hotel lobby in the USA one day?
He did, and they ended up catching up for a drink after that. Yeah, funny story, right? Yeah.
All right.
Actually, Billy Owens played in the Goodwill games. Andrew, did you play in that?
No, that was in
1990 in Seattle.
Yes, and we played against. We played against. Did we play the USA team with the team? I don't know if we did. I know PJ Calissimo was the assistant coach.
Yeah.
We played. No, we played him in the World Cup in Argentina. Yeah. That's where it's coming back to me. Yeah.
Nice.
They finished third. I think they got the bronze medal. That was the last 1990 Argentina. I think that was the last Soviet Union playing against Yugoslavia.
Right.
Okay.
For the gold medal.
Yeah.
That was Divac, Kukoc,
Dino Raja, maybe?
Yep.
Petrovic.
Yep.
They were all in that Yugoslavian team, and they won it. Yugoslavia.
Yep. Nice.
No. Did they win it? They won it that year. I think they won the gold. They won the gold medal. Anyway, they were either first or second.
Next player we got, affectionately referred to as Blue.
Theodore
Edwards.
Oh, yeah.
Celtics card.
Blue. See, funny, I don't remember him much with Boston. For me, he was a Milwaukee Buck,
man.
That's when I remember him from there. But yeah, I like Blue Edwards back.
He was Alvin Robertson's team.
Hey, Woody, do you remember why you got the nickname Blue?
Man,
Okay,
you're the guy.
He was choking on a toy when he was young, and his grandma picked him up and said he was turning blue, and that was how he got his nickname.
Damn.
Yeah.
Trust you to know that, man.
Yeah, fun fact.
All right, Phoenix Suns guard Elliot Perry.
Oh, goggles.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep.
Not there, but yeah.
Any fun facts, boys? Any fun facts?
No.
He was a lefty, wasn't he, from memory?
Yeah, I think he was. Was he?
Yeah.
Well, he got the ball in his left hand there.
He does, yeah.
But, a little fella though.
Yep.
All right, this is one that escapes me. Utah Jazz forward Jamie Watson.
Whoa.
Jamie Watson.
Whoa. Thank goodness I invented Google for people like him. Who is that?
I have never heard of.
Is this the first player I haven't known, Wood, so far, or what?
I think there's maybe one more that you haven't.
I bet you when you Google him, you eventually it'll kick in, and you
either that or he probably played about 10 games or something.
If I can,
he played 3 years with the Jazz, and he played with Dallas, and he played in all sorts of places overseas. So
right,
don't remember the guy at all. He went to South Carolina College, a second-round draft pick, but he was in a dunk comp in '95. If that rings a bell for anyone, but.
No.
Yeah.
All right, and the final card, Phoenix Suns guard Trevor Ruffin.
Yeah, I do remember him.
He played for the Bulls as well, didn't he, Ruffin?
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. I don't remember a lot about him, but yeah,
definitely remember the name, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Now this pack is not nearly as good as the one we pulled last week, is it?
Yeah, we seem to get some really up and down packs. We didn't really get any superstars, did we, in this pack?
No. But Oh, yeah, we got the Jason Kidd rookie card.
Oh, yeah, Jason Kidd rookie. We had a few fun facts about Blue Edwards and Bo Outlaw and, stuff like that. So,
have you got a lot of packs there that do this for a while?
Yeah, we've got heaps. We've got 9.
Woody's been getting them all off eBay there. There's a bit of a sort of market for the old ones. But I think we're starting to run out. But, yeah, we have great fun doing this.
We pulled a Michael Jordan All-Star card, Magic Johnson All-Star card. With Liam, when Liam was on the show, we had a really good pack.
Good one, didn't we? We got Magic Johnson, I think, twice in the same pack or something.
Wow. Yeah, beauties. Yeah, for sure.
But nice and nostalgic to do it.
Anyway, No, that was great fun. All right, really appreciate that, Woods. Well, I guess that takes us to sort of the end of the show here, guys. So, look, obviously, before I sort of go into my little spiel here, just wanted to really thank you, Andrew. I mean, we've been looking forward to having you on and just been great to sort of, take a trip down memory lane and sort of, talk about some of the things that you achieved there. So, yeah, as I sort of mentioned, thanks everyone for tuning in. Keep subscribing to our show on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Just a reminder where you can follow us. Our Twitter handle is Throwbacks Hoops, Instagram with throwback.hoops, and of course our email address there, if you've got any questions or feedback or anything like that, is throwbackhoopspodcast@gmail.com. Now, Woody, why don't you sort of give us your TikTok and the Patreon details there?
Yeah, Patreon, if you'd like to pledge your support for us, we appreciate it. Just jump on Patreon and look for Throwback Hoops. We appreciate it. Anyone who assists us there. And TikTok, for some of the younger viewers, we have snippets of the show and we showcase our jerseys there. It's Woody_V83. And as Robbie said, the email address, send in questions, jersey requests, anything that you want. And we'll try and take care of that for you. So, yeah.
Good stuff there, Woods. And Drew, why don't you sort of tell the audience maybe where they can sort of find you now? We know you're all over Fox Sports, but why don't you sort of let them know sort of where they can sort of tune into you these days?
Well, we do the jump on ESPN. Boy, does that advert get a bit of a run on every ESPN program they're promoting our jump. So myself, Leonard Copeland, Nat Edwards, we're the regulars on it.
Yep.
And Kane does some work with the news breaking stuff. But yeah, it's a good, fun show. And so we do that. And I'm commentating the basketball games, and that's pretty much it for right now.
What about Bounce there? Will you be coming back for another season?
Yeah, the Bounce. The Bounce is coming back for another season. So
again, we've lost Woody here, but I never miss an episode of that show. I absolutely love it. So yeah, no, I hadn't realised it had changed names just to Bounce as well. It was only when I looked that up. So okay,
yeah. So it's that's on right now. It's on Sunday nights after the round of footy. It's slapstick. It's just a light-hearted look at the footy stuff.
I know this show, man. Damien Fleming was on it as well for a while, wasn't he?
He was. Gee, going back a long time.
That's because you're a cricket homer, Woody.
That would have been 8 or 9 years, or maybe.
So you haven't watched it for 9 years? You're telling us, Woody.
Look, I know what the show is, man. Give me a break, all right?
No, it's a bit of fun. So we do that, and this year I'm working on in Victoria. Actually, it's syndicated, I think, throughout a lot of states. Is on 3 to 6 every day on SEN Radio. Me and Andy Mark doing a little radio podcast. So, no, it's all good. All good.
I really appreciate you coming on the show.
Had so much fun. Thanks so much, Drew. Yeah.
No worries.
Just wanted to thank everyone for tuning in, and can't wait to see everyone next week. Peace out from the Throwback Hoop crew.
Peace, guys. Thanks for joining.
Thanks, guys.